Holi is a very common festival in India, and in the Vedic tradition, life itself is a celebration. It takes on many different forms, and there are reasons why we use various instances for coming up with different spiritual aspects that are worth celebrating. So Holi itself is something that is today celebrated by basically throwing colors on each other and dancing and so on. But any celebration has three parts. The first one is physically what you do. You can throw colors, you can dance, those are all physical. The second one is what you say. The third one, which is perhaps the biggest part of the celebration, is what's going on in your mind. You know, what is the thought process that's going on, so that the celebration is much deeper than just a physical activity or physical excitement. That applies to everything. It doesn't matter what it is. It applies to every single thing. It doesn't matter whether it is a function at home or it's something personal, something societal, and something spiritual. In this case, Holi falls into that particular category. It is actually celebrated in slightly different ways in the northern part of India and the southern part of India. We will actually look at both of those things and see why people do what they do. In the southern part of India, at least in Karnataka, I'm sure that it's somewhat similar in neighboring states. This is actually referred to as Kamana Habba, and Habba just means festival. Kama, it's about desire. Now, there's a Devata Shakti behind that creates these desires in us, but at a very shallow level, the question is, what has desire got to do with celebration? Therein lies the problem. See, the thing is that what happens is we all have desires, don't we? It doesn't matter what. It may be good, bad, ugly, whatever it is, we all have desires. I don't know a single person who doesn't have any desire of any kind. So you have a desire of some kind, of something, and life moves on, you know, time goes on, things change in life. We grow, and the desires you had last year may be different from the desires you have this year. And next year it may be something else. So it's not a constant desire. There are many, many changing desires. So the question is, how do you separate those that are constant? Hopefully there are some things that are constant, that are staying with us for our entire life. And those should be good things that is uplifting for us. But they also have smaller goals, smaller desires at different points in time and different points in our life. Now these things may get satisfied, it may not get satisfied, right? And what happens usually is that if it gets satisfied, okay, fine, we may enjoy that for a little time and then forget about it. Now we create a brand new desire because that thing is already satisfied, isn't it? But there are these things that are actually not satisfied, but they're still sitting in my heart. I don't get rid of it, it's still there, right? Things, little things from childhood, like suppose you wanted ice cream when you were a child. When you grow up, suppose you did not get ice cream when you were a child. The chances are that that thing is still lurking there inside you, and when you are capable of buying and eating ice cream, you go around and splurge on all these things. That means that desire, which at this point in time you may or may not even need, it's still lurking there in the background, and you're still trying to satisfy that. Ice cream is a silly example. That doesn't harm you much if you go buy an ice cream. But there are other things that can be actually harmful for you. So this festival, the Holi festival, what traditionally people do is that they go from house to house and they collect dead wood, you know, unwanted things like broken furniture, unwanted old clothes and torn clothes and all these things. They bring everything together in a field or somewhere like that, put it together, and they set fire to that. Now that is the physical action, and it's sort of exciting in its own way. And you sit there, dance around the fire and all these things. That is fine, but what should be your thought process? See, that's the important thing. Because if you don't do that, you're just burning something, right? What has knowledge got to do with it, and how does it affect my life? Okay, fine, you got rid of some unwanted dead wood in your house, but apart from, you can just throw it out any day you want. So why should I wait for that particular day, which you call Holi or Kamana Habba, and why on that day we have to do that? The answer actually is in the thought process. Kama, desire, dead wood, just like in a house, at some point in time, you brought it in because it was useful, isn't it? Like suppose I take this chair for example. So I buy a chair, why? Because I want to sit on it. But suppose it breaks, what will you do with it? It doesn't serve the purpose that it was acquired for. Now it's just waste and just sitting there. But if I keep collecting all this junk in the house, pretty soon your house will be full of junk. Similarly, your mind, you keep collecting all these desires, and it has run out of time, man. It has no relevance for you at this point in time. But you don't want to throw it out. Instead of cleaning the place and keeping it clean, you actually want to hang on to that thing. There's so much clutter, there's so much junk, and surely your thought process should not be like that. Your thought process should not be cluttered. There should not be junk in your thought process. It should be clean. It should be empty. It should be clean, so that you can get new things in life, right? Get new desires, because after all, as we keep progressing in life, we become more mature. Hopefully we become a little wiser too. So our desires itself may get better as time goes by. So what we have to do, this is symbolic, this is only symbolic. The physical action is only symbolic of looking internally. I have to do some introspection. I have to look inside me and say, what dead wood is sitting there in my heart? Basically junk that's of no use to me at this point in time. So collect all those unwanted desires, kama, all those unwanted desires, take it out, and not just throwing it out, set fire to that. Now setting fire is basically, it's not just starting a fire. What I should do is take all those unwanted old desires and offer it as a ahuti to Agni. So when I take these thoughts, desires that are worthless, unwanted, gather them once a year, just once a year. Gather all of them and you offer it to Agni. What does the Agni do? It completely purifies all of those things, isn't it? We never do that actually. Normally we don't do that. We're still hanging on to desires from ever so long. Just like in a house, if it's very cluttered and a lot of junk, if you throw it all out, don't you feel better? Of course you do, because you're in a nice, clean environment. Similarly, you'll be amazed if you get rid of all those unwanted desires that are irrelevant and immaterial at this point in time, and not just throw it out, because it's not easy to throw it out. Because sometimes what happens, you throw it out and next day, oh maybe I'll need it tomorrow, and you bring it back in. But once and for all, you offer it to Agni. It is no longer in that form in which it was there to start with. It gets purified. Agni purifies everything. And in Agni, inside Agni, not just the Agni Devata, inside there is that Yajnapati, Brahma, Bhagavanta, whatever words you want to use, he is residing in that. So when you offer those things, what happens is that now I'm clean. Those desires are gone. Even if I want to, I cannot get it back. Just like a dead piece of furniture, once it's burnt, there's nothing you're going to do about that. How can you bring it back and clutter your life again? So that is the thought process that I have to go through when I go through this celebration, which is basically what is practiced in southern part of India.